Hi guys, Tony from the Heritage Line here. Right, to start with, I would like to thank all the new subscribers that have joined recently. Don't worry, I am still here. I would like to apologise to all the subscribers that I have, old and new, and I would just like to say that, well, I've had a few issues, so that's why I've not been around for a while. As some of you will know, I actually live in Scarborough, which is by the seaside, and we're now going into holiday season, but it has just been mental here. Ever since lockdown has been lifted, everybody's come to the seaside. They've all wanted to get out, they wanted to get on the beach, they wanted to get in the sun, and we've just been doing long hours, guys. We're still battling with COVID, and you know, we've had staff that had to isolate, so we've had to cover more hours, and to be honest guys, it's not fun getting in at 12 o'clock at the midnight, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's how it is. We just have to crack on, make the most of it. So it's a case of play hard, work hard. What else has happened to me? Well, another thing that's happened, this is just one of those things. The flat above us, they had a kitchen fire. Fortunately, everybody's okay, but you know, it didn't affect this flat at all. But again, suddenly, as you can imagine, a flat fire, the people that look after the flats suddenly got on board and did all the fire checks and checked the fire alarms, had to do some modifications, as you can imagine. Good kick up the arse, always sorts things out, doesn't it guys? But they've done that, they've cracked on. I've had to tidy up, put things away so they can inspect things. So Swades Pond's currently on top of her wardrobe. She will be back out, so don't you worry, Paul. We will get it out. We will get some stuff done on Swades Pond. We'll crack on with that. What else is there now? Oh yeah, third thing, my computer. It's getting slow as dogs. It's struggling a little bit now. It's nearly 10 years old. So I'm really battling with some of the editing as well. And I'm just going to struggle on best I can. If it gives up the ghost, don't worry, I've still got a cunning plan. And I'm still just going to record as I do things. When I get a new computer, I'm just going to edit, and stuff will be coming out. So if for any reason there is another long gap, that will be why. I am still around, I will still be watching videos, I will be commenting, but such is life. Thankfully, I'm doing the hours, so I'm trying to get some money saved. So hopefully, end of the season, which will be mad. I know it's going to be mad this year because a lot of people don't want to go abroad. They want to stay at home, they want to feel safe. And the way holiday restrictions are happening at the minute, they don't know 1 minute to the next if they're going to have to come into quarantine after a holiday or whatever. So people just aren't risking it. And there's a lot of people out there simply just don't have the money. It's hit a lot of families. And so the way forward for a lot of them, it's a day trip away at the seaside. Again, more work for me. But that's how it goes. Anyway, money in my pocket. We'll get the laptop sorted. We'll get some railway stuff sorted. I still have lots of plans. I have lots of content to give. Hornby, brilliant news. Released the Class 08 sound decoders again. So I've jumped on that one. So now I'm going to have to give myself a right kick up the arse. I will have to get a couple of Gronks decoded. So that's another thing I'm planning doing. I'm going to do the newer China style Class 08. We're going to get some sound for that. I'm going to go do the old pool style Class 08, or should I say it's Batman China, but it's the old chassis. If you guys have been around, you know the difference between the 08 chassis. The older one, not so easy to modify, but we're going to have a crack at that. And if I'm really cheeky, I'm not sure if I can manage it yet. If I'm really cheeky, I might even get some lights in it as well. But that's things to come in the future. Of course, the Swades Pond that's ongoing. I've got a few things I've got planned for that as well. So yeah, there's plenty of content to come. So this video here, I was originally going to show you an overview of the points, the different point motors. I should have said not the points, the point motors. I'm just being a donk. Anyway, so it's an overview of the point motors, which is covering your three standard types of point motor. It's your solenoids, it's your slow action, and it's the servos. It's only a quick overview, it's not in depth. And I was going to carry the video on into how I wire a solenoid point motor and a few little tricks and tips, how I make the frog switch and all that sort of stuff. To be honest, the video was going to be long. And I mean, we were looking about 40 odd minutes long. I felt that's not good. So, shorten the video. So, this part is just a quick overview of the different point motors. And the next one I'll get out will be on how I wire the solenoid point motors. So anybody new to that, that is up and coming. I am actually currently editing it or trying to edit it. But there we go, that's such as life. So there you go guys, hope you enjoy this video and we'll crack on. See you all later, bye for now. Right then, today we're going to talk about point motors and the different types. So, point motors, these are what turn your points electrically. Typically, you would have a motor under your board or on the side of your point to change your point, and you would probably have leads back to a control panel with a push button. Once you press the push button, your point will change. Now obviously in the DCC world we have accessory decoders as well, and that we'll be covering in another episode. But an accessory decoder basically means that you can send a signal through your DCC and again it will change your point. So essentially I'm going to say there's three different breeds of point motors, and I'm going to name them as a first, second and third generation. Now to me, this is all my personal view, so don't get irate in the comments, this is my thoughts. But the first generation point motor for me is a good old solenoid point motor. These have been around for years. I mean, I remember the old Hamilton Morgans back in the probably 70s. Pico have done them absolutely decades now. We've got the Seep ones, which are now owned by Gauge Master. Hornby have obviously done them. Hornby point motors you can either get under board. They often have them at the sides of the points. And there's a lot of different generations. Some fit them on top of the board, some fit them below the board. So the first one for me has got to be the solenoid point motor. The most popular ones I would say are the Pico ones. They seem to be very popular. You've got the Seeps, they're also popular as well. And of course we've got Hornby. I'm not going to cover this too much because we're going to come back to the solenoids, because I'm going to explain how I wire up a solenoid point motor. Right, the next generation for me is the slow action point motor. These have been around for a while now. I would say at least I can remember them back maybe 20 years, maybe a bit further than that. To me, probably the first one on the market will have been the Tortoise or possibly the Hare. And then we're going to like your DC Concepts Cobalt motors. They're the most popular ones. We've got a new kid on the block as well. We've got MTP that do the MP1s and the MP5s. And essentially what these do is they have a wire coming through them which is on the tension. As the motor moves, it moves the arm moves the point. Now the slow action point motors often have an inbuilt switch into them as well. These switches you can actually use to change your frogs if you're using electrofrogs. Or of course you could use that switch to maybe change a signal or something like that. Very handy. Again, push button job if you want to have it on your control panel. So a nice little motor. Some of them can be a little bit chunky, so you've got to remember to have the depth under your board if it's a portable layout. So we've got the main ones for me are your Tortoise. You've got your DCC Cobalts, and you've got your MTP B brands, which is MP1, MP5. Now the DCC cobalts you can get in two breeds. You can get a standard cobalt, which is a little bit like your tortoise really. It's got an onboard switch on it, again change your frogs, and of course you can control it from your control panel. But with the DCC cobalts you can actually get an IP version. Now the IP version basically has an inbuilt accessory decoder. And this is very tempting. You pay a little bit extra, but essentially it's got a little board on it and you can give it a DCC number, you program it up, you teach it the number, and from then on it's done, it's programmed. And again, it's still got all the inputs to change your frogs and everything as well, and you can still also control it off your control panel. So the IP one, it's a nice touch. I think it works out about £5 to £8 more than the standard, but you do have the accessory decoder built in. So that's one beauty of the cobalts, and that's why you'll see a lot of layouts and a lot of people are using the cobalts for ease, because they could just screw them in, wire them up, teach them the number, and away they go. Job's a carrot. Now then, for me, the new kid on the block are the servos. Now the servos, to be honest guys, they're as cheap as chips. You can pick up a servo for as little to £3 or £4. Now then, I think that this is going to be the future, but not enough companies have got on the back of these yet. But people got 3D printers. Now the tricky bit with a servo is you need some form of board to control your servo. You also need some form of switch in the circuit if you're going to control your frogs. Now typically people might use a micro switch underneath it, but you would have to have some form of housing to hold the servo in. And eventually somebody will click onto this and somebody might make a standard housing that everybody will use. There's a few different sizes, you can get different heads on the servos. Now for me, the servo, at the minute there is one company that really utilises the servo system, and that company is Megapoints. If you're going to go down this route, they have lots of accessory boards. They're a really nice company to talk to. They will sort out any problems. They've got a good customer base, good customer relationship. But Megapoints are the ones that are currently in the lead, I would say, in this servo market. But having said that, I still think there's a lot of room for other people in the servo market. Once you've established how you're going to mount your servo and how you're going to change your points, it's all down to the control elements. And I know there are some software programmers out there, there's some hobbyists in the Arduino, and for me a circuit similar to an Arduino or maybe a PIC operated controller would do the job. Because with an Arduino, essentially an Arduino, let's put that down, it could control your servo, can't spell now, it could control the servo. What else could it do? It could actually control your frogs. Obviously you'll need a little bit more electronics, and let's think, yeah, you could also have button inputs to actually control it from your control panel. And the Arduino does actually have a package for DCC. So essentially, in theory, the Arduino could actually be used on DCC as well. So there's a lot going. If the Arduino can do that, other circuits can do that as well. Now then, as a hobbyist, I understand there's a lot of people there don't know how to program them up. And to be fair, I don't see any reason why somebody who knows the way around the technology could actually make some form of app where you just set your parameters, trim is where you only have it going so far on your arm instead of going all the way, and you're basically telling it how far you want it to go. So, sorry guys, that's what I mean by trimming. But you could have the software determine the speed of the servo, you could trim the servo, the software in theory you could put in your DCC address if you wanted, and you could tell it the speed you wanted it to change your frogs. Yes, there will be small electronics involved in that, it's not just a case of buying the board. But essentially from a home brew point of view, that could be done. I'll tell you the guys that might actually have some ideas on this servo, and that's Merg. These are the guys, if you're into your electronics, if I remember rightly, it's Model Electronic Railway Group. Essentially, it's the electronics that are related to model railways. They build all sorts of systems, guys. If you're into that side, there'll be somebody on there, they'll have cracked it, they'll do it, they'll show you how to do it. So those are essentially your different point motors. You've got your solenoid, your slow action, your servo. And I think in the future, servo will probably be the way it's going to head. I'm not saying yet, because there's a lot of different techniques, a lot of up in the airs. There's no standard protocols at all, which is a shame, but it will come, and servos is the way to come. Another advantage of the servo as well, because it's electronically operated, in theory you could have it operating a semaphore signal, and you could actually add a bounce. So when your arm comes down, it typically bounces like it would in real life. And these are the little advantages, the little tweaks you can do with something like the Arduino. So there you go, there are your three different point motors.